Good evening. I am Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas. And like I said last week in the video, I'm going to do a series of videos on the pit bull, and I want to address the history, some misconceptions about the dog, some myths, and maybe some training tips, and hopefully make this be a good advocate for this wonderful dog breed that is just, as I said last week, it's the best dog breed I've ever had. And I'm not a vet or a dog trainer. I don't have any kind of certifications in that area. I'm just a guy that's 53 years old that's always had dogs in my life. When I was a kid, um, I lived with my grandparents, and they would rescue dogs, and we would have up to 6 dogs at one time living in this little 1,000 square foot house. And my grandmother would find these dogs and she'd rescue them. And my grandfather was like, Layla, once we get to 6, no more than 6 dogs at one time. I'm like, 6 dogs in a 1,000 square foot house. As I look back, that seems a little strange, but it was a house full of love and it was full of wonderful dogs. And so when my grandmother would find another dog, and we already had 6, and we always got to 6, um, she would have to find somebody else in her network to adopt the dog. And ever since then, I've just always had dogs, and they've just been a wonderful part of my life. And I couldn't imagine life without dogs. But the pit bull is very unique. It's an incredibly loving dog, an incredibly loyal dog, and it's a dog that is so eager to please. Like, whatever the owner wants, your dog, your pit bull will try its best to give you that. If it's obedience, they're obedient. But the problem is if the owner wants the dog to be a fighter, that dog will fight to the death. Because whatever it is that the owner wants, the dog is going to do its best to please. Is the elephant in the room is there's a lot of dog attacks, and the most common dog described in the dog attacks is the pit bull. And so it's gotten a very bad reputation. And annually, 40 to 60 humans die a year in the United States from dog attacks. And one of the leading dogs in these attacks is described as the pit bull. And I want to talk about the description later on how that's misleading, and talk about the issues. So 40 to 60 is a horrible number. Like, that's a lot of deaths. So it's almost, roughly a death in every state, But realize that 19,000 Americans are murdered every year by fellow humans. So basically, in 1 year, dogs of all breeds kill as many humans as humans do in 1 day in America. So your fear of your next door neighbor shouldn't be that he has a pit bull. The fear, you're much more likely to be hurt by your next door neighbor than you are by your next door neighbor's dog. So to get that out of the way. Now, when I say the problem is with humans, what I mean is, like, I want to approach this from an academic perspective, not just a sensationalized perspective. And that's one of the problems when you read things in the news or the newspaper, you hear them in the news or newspaper. It's a journalist who spends, they got a deadline. They may have a background in journalism, but do they have a background in dogs or violence? No. And then they got a deadline that they got to pass to their editor, so they got to get this story done. And oftentimes, pit bulls are attributed in dog bites, but the dog is not a pit bull. And there's several breeds that are mistakenly identified as pit bulls, or it's just an easy thing. It's like, I don't know what the dog was. It was a pit bull. And so the pit bull is often mislabeled in these dog attacks. And some of the dog breeds that are, even somebody that's been around dogs for years could commonly mistake for pit bulls, like the Dogo Argentino, the Boxer, the Cane Corso, the Bull Terrier, the Presa Canario, the Bull Mastiff, the American Bulldog, and then several breeds intermixed with those. So you may look at a dog and it's like, he sort of looks like a pit bull, and think, oh, this was a pit bull attack. But it could be one of 10 different dog breeds. But, the blame goes on one. And so these reporters are not experts, and neither are the police, in identifying dogs. The police don't go through a special dog identifying class to identify the difference between a pit bull and an American bulldog. It's like they just, write up the report and they're like, I think this is what it is. But even veterinarians have trouble just visually looking at a dog and knowing what the breed is. Like my veterinarian, who's a very competent veterinarian, I've been with the same veterinarian for maybe 13, 14 years. Very competent. One of the best veterinarians I've ever been around. Well, when I got Baylor, pit bulls, the males usually get 60 pounds of the upper limit. Sometimes they get up to 70. But Baylor's father was 85 pounds. And I met his father when I rescued Baylor. And Baylor is 80 pounds. And so I asked the vet, let's do a DNA test on him, because I'm curious, what all Baylor is mixed with that made him larger than the average pit bull. And so the vet looked at him and said, while I've been treating Baylor, she's like, I think he might have a little Doberman in him, or maybe a little bit of what was it? Maybe a little bit of a lab in him, from the look of him. And I was like, oh, okay. So we did the DNA test. We sent it off, and it was like maybe a month later, the results came back, and it's like, no, he's 100% American Pit Bull. It was like, but he's bigger than the average one. So it's just like, okay, but so was his father. And so, it was like, but a vet could not look at him and tell 100%, with 100% confidence, even though this vet had treated him, throughout his life, that he was 100% pit bull. And when you say pit bull, it really encompasses a couple different dogs. And I'll talk about that in other videos more in depth. But we're really talking about, there's a dog that's classified as an American Pit Bull Terrier, but it's not recognized by the AKC, and you're just taking the word of breeders that this is an American Pit Bull Terrier. And then you have what Baylor is. He came back 100% American Staffordshire Terrier. And so those two dogs are the main two that are classified as pit bulls. Sometimes the Staffordshire Terrier is also classified as a pit bull, the dog in England. And every once in a while, somebody will refer to as the American Bulldog as a pit bull. So it's not really a breed, and it could easily encompass, 3 or 4 different breeds when you say this is a pit bull. So realize that reporters and police officers are not going to be able to accurately identify the dog in the dog attack. That's not their area of expertise, and the reporter is trying to meet a deadline. So a lot of times the pit bull is given credit for attacks that they did not do. So I want to keep that in mind. What I think the problem is, and when you want to get the facts, I recommend, and throughout college, they drilled into us, like when I was getting my master's degree from Baylor University, hence how he got his name, Baylor, is peer-reviewed journals. And peer review is people who are experts in the field, submit a scientific study, and then other scientists or other experts in that field review it. And that's all done before its publication. So that's why, like, a medical article in the New England Journal of Medicine it's not sensationalized. It's people did the research, they submitted the article, it was reviewed by experts in that field, and then it was published. So anytime you really want to get the facts and not sensationalism from social media, newspapers, TV news, but like the facts that is done by experts, you want to get a peer-reviewed journal, a peer-reviewed article. So one of the articles from the Journal of Interpersonal Violence, they did a study and showed that the pit bull, along with the Rottweiler and the Doberman, were 10 times more likely to be owned by felons than any other dog breed, which is no surprise considering those are the top 3 dogs that lead dog bites. It's like the people that are attracted to this type of dog are the kind of people that should not have this kind of dog. You know, like we're very good at keeping guns out of felons' hands, but we'll let a felon, get a dog like this, and then sort of like last week when the Doberman, got out. I don't know whether he was trying to attack me or attack the pit, my dog, but of course it went bad for him. But it was an irresponsible owner, and a lot of times irresponsible people are attracted to this dog breed, which leads to bad situations. So I don't believe there's any such thing as a bad dog. I think there's bad owners, and if you put a dog that is eager to please, that is medium to large size, you're going to end up with bad outcomes if you have a bad owner. So I don't think the problem is with the dog. I'm very confident with this dog that my family is 100% safe with him. I would not be comfortable with anybody that was trying to attack my family, because that would be bad for them. Any kind of person or animal that was trying to cause harm to the family would go really bad, because he is very protective of the family. Matter of fact, my daughter sleeps on him. She's been doing that. He's about 4 years old. So for 4 years, like she'll come home from school and she'll just lay on him, and he'll just let her use him as a pillow. And now she's 14 and she still uses Baylor as a pillow. Well, we had a contractor who was a friend of the family doing work on my bathroom. And he'd been doing that all day, coming in and out. And Baylor knew who he was and was cool with him. And he would just, Baylor lays on my bed, and was the bathroom in my bedroom. And he had been doing work. He was cutting tile. Well, when my daughter got home, she went into my bedroom, and then laid on Baylor, and then fell asleep. Well, I think I was upstairs, and the contractor was in the garage, and then he came back in to go back and do some more work. As soon as he got into the bedroom, because my daughter was asleep, and this person was not a member of the family, even though Baylor knew who he was, Baylor went nuts on him. Immediately went into protection mode, because dogs understand that you are most vulnerable when you're asleep. So anytime you approach a sleeping person, there's a chance that dog that's by that sleeping person protecting them is in a protect mode, and is going to protect that sleeping person, because they know, hey, that's my human. He or she is very vulnerable while they're asleep, and they will immediately go into a protection mode. And that could lead to a lot of bites. And that would have led to a bite in that incident. Fortunately, our friend was able to withdraw himself quickly. So that's something to keep in mind, that these dogs are protective. So I'm going to wrap that up for this week as far as what I want to say this week. But just realize that dogs are wonderful. They're loyal friends, and I think you're very safe with dogs. And I believe you're very safe with the pit bull. And next week, we're going to talk more about the pit bull's history. All right, so that's it for this week. See y'all next week. Ciao.